They had neither bows of burning gold nor arrows of desire, but environmental activists descended on the previously sleepy village of Balcombe, West Sussex, to protest at what they see as the dark satanic mills of oil exploration and possible fracking. The controversial process of extracting oil and gas, a process that has transformed the US energy market. Well, today the company trying to drill for oil there decided to suspend its operations in fear of a weekend of protest. Zoe Conway has spent the day at the site.
Today was meant to be the beginning of a weekend of civil disobedience, direct action and intimidation at the Balcombe camp. Instead, there was painting and knitting. It was orderly and rather eccentric.
I just have to do a bit of hero worship here.
And so who better to join the throng than Vivienne Westwood, who came down from London on the train to show her solidarity.
Apparently there's no birds singing anymore since the drilling began, and they're just frightened for what's happening here, but no consent from the people here, and this is what's going on. And at the same time we've got David Cameron pretending that we've got this race that we have to be quick about, trying to mislead everybody.
The Church of England has warned opponents of fracking not to overlook the fact that it could help people living in fuel poverty. But many here are distrustful of that idea.
What about the argument that if we have fracking, will help bring down fuel bills? There's an awful lot of people in this country who are struggling to pay their energy bills, aren't there?
It's just nonsense. Even the companies themselves have said that it won't make a blind bit of difference to their fuel bills.
The relaxed atmosphere at the camp had a lot to do with the decision by Cuadrilla to suspend drilling at Balcombe. They say they did so in order to protect their staff.
The protest camp is scheduled to be there for, I think, 5 or 6 days, but we'll work closely with the police. We are intending to restart. We are intending to finish the well. We don't think it'll take a very long time to do that. It's a relatively straightforward oil exploration well, so we do want to finish it.
Cuadrilla's long-term commitment to this site is incredibly unclear, and not just because they've suspended drilling for a few days. Their language keeps changing. It wasn't so long ago that they said that Balcombe was an ideal site for exploration. Now they're saying that it's highly unlikely that it will be used for the production of fossil fuels.
Exactly how much opposition to fracking there is in Balcombe isn't clear. There was a survey by the parish council which seemed to show an overwhelming majority of people against it. But some villagers told us it was a tiny sample and people are still making up their minds. You can tell which villagers are opposed because they've tied a yellow ribbon outside their door and they're being manufactured at the bus stop. The women say they're so cross that they'll vote against their MP, Conservative Minister Francis Maude.
I don't think he's electable in the next election in 2015. I'd be very surprised if he was able to hold his seat.
You say that as a Conservative?
Yes, because I wouldn't vote for him, even though I've always voted Conservative, because he's appointed Lord Brown, and it's Lord Brown who's the chairman of Cuadrilla. So I feel he's not supporting his constituents.
At the pub down the road, we meet Linda and Tony. They've been friends and neighbours for more than 10 years. They completely disagree on fracking, but insist they won't be falling out over it.
Eventually, it'll go ahead, in my opinion. We've got to get the gas and we've got to get oil from somewhere. And, and I think it'll happen. It's going to be one of them situations. There's a lot of agitation going on in the village between people and everything. And it is breaking the village up a little bit, to be honest. And all the people coming down, it's not helping.
What are the positives for you in fracking?
I might get work out of it.
Why? What do you do? What kind of work?
Well, I'm unemployed, so I've been down there.
Linda, are you worried about what it's doing to relations in the village?
I am. We have many old friends who have opposing views to us, but we've gone to great lengths to meet up with them and say, look, let's agree to differ. We're not going to let this stop us being friends. And I think that seems to be the way forward at the moment. I think we're agreeing to differ. There are a few who are writing letters anonymously and that sort of stuff, but I think that's in the minority.
What you find at the camp are people who are in no rush to go anywhere. Lilias Ryder Haggard Cheney has been here for 3 weeks and she's prepared to stay for many more.
I want everybody to know what's going on here. And what's that song that says, I want to sing, I want to shout, I want to scream till the words run out, and you can read all about it, read all about it. Well, we want everybody to read about it, hear it, see it, and know exactly what's going on here.
Tonight, a bigger camp is being set up. Organisers say they expect as many as 1,000 people to turn up this weekend.
We've got the local BBC camera guy and BBC Newsnight. Woo!
It's not obvious yet whether they'll get that many.
Wow, we even got a name check. That was Eric Conway. Joining me now is one protester, Danielle Paffard, and the Conservative MP, David Morris, whose Lancashire constituency already has a lot of fracking for gas. And David Morris, I wonder if you accept that this is 1-0 to the protesters. Quadrilla's stopped the drilling, at least for now.
Well, Quadrilla was listening to what the police had to say, and the police advised them to stop. What is disturbing is the fact that 1,000 people are descending on this site, and in effect only 66% of the people in that village actually did not take part in the survey whatsoever. So it looks to me like renter mobs moving in.
It's a shocking imposition, really, isn't it, Danielle? I mean, this is a democratic process and you're getting in the way.
Well, I mean, I think the villagers of Balcombe feel it's been a very undemocratic process, actually. And if you look at, you know, how the legislation was put through and, you know, how quickly that process happened, a lot of them feel really disorientated. And I think, and, you know, why we're there, democracy to me isn't about, you know, it's not about the ballot box once every 4 years. And I think there are some situations where the political system fails to deal with a lot of the profound problems that we're facing. And climate change is one of those issues. And I think we have the perfect example here of huge inconsistency in government policy that really needs to be, you know, pulled up by people.
But you've just been called renter mob. I mean, broadly, the sense that you don't really do your research, you don't do your homework, you just turn up in places and say you don't like things.
I mean, I think that's really disrespectful to the people that give a lot of time and effort to, you know, to fight on behalf of, you know, on issues that affect all of us. This is about our energy policy. This affects everyone in the country. This is about every single person's fuel bill, and this is about a safe and stable climate for us to live in, you know, and future generations. I think it's disingenuous and a bit nasty to call those people who are making that stand on behalf of everyone renter mob. I think
nasty.
That's cheap.
That's not a word that the Conservatives like to hear, is it, David Morris?
It's not being nasty, it's standing up for democracy. There was planning application that went in for this excavation to take place. That had been enacted. That is democracy at play. I'm not being disrespectful to anyone who demonstrates, but to descend on one site where 66% of the villagers did not take part, I repeat, 66% did not take part in the parish council survey, it just beggars belief. You know, what you're going to be seeing now is people descending on this village where an excavation site was granted planning permission for an excavation for shale gas. That is not democratic.
And come on, though. Your government can't even put plain packaging on cigarettes because you say you need evidence, and suddenly you're rushing headlong into something like this without any evidence at all.
There is evidence there to suggest that Quadrilla have 3 triplicate oil wells that are actually being lined in triplicate. Now, how can that affect the aquifer? It doesn't. And hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear me. And also to add that it's independently checked. So the legislation is in place. It is the most stringent legislation that we have in the whole of the world, and we're adhering to it. Now, you know, the lights are going to go off if we don't start looking for an alternative way of powering our industry.
The problem is that a lot of people in this country are incredibly worried about their fuel bills and hate the cost and the rising costs. And you are holding those people hostage by your ideals because you're unwilling to even find out.
I think actually quite the opposite. This protest has been organised joint with Fuel Poverty Action, UK Uncut, people who are really concerned about fuel poverty. That's one of the main issues. That's one of the reasons for the protest group No Dash for Gas, because actually, if you look at what's causing rising fuel bills, £100 of the £150 that fuel bills went up last year was to do with the price of gas. And, you know, Quadrilla themselves have said that
that's the whole point of this, isn't it? That you can cut the price of gas. You've seen energy bills in the US halve because of fracking?
So, well, I mean, it's become very clear that we've got a very different situation to the US. Even Quadrilla are saying that it's going to have no significant impact on fuel bills. We've got a very different geology. We've got a very different gas infrastructure.
When you say not true, David,
what
what claim would you make about our fuel bills?
Quadrilla have said that.
Well, if I can just interject, by 2030 it's been estimated that the gas bills will rise by 21% between now and 2030. Now we've got shale gas, it's going to be reduced down to 11%. That's halving the bill.
Quadrilla have stated that it's expected to make no significant difference to bills at all. If we're talking about a
within
real
the next 10 years
difference,
while excavation takes place.
If we're talking about a real decrease in the cost of fuel going forward, this whole idea of fracking, I think we're really delaying the question that has to happen here, which is about facing up to the fact that at some point we are going to have to invest heavily in a renewable energy structure.
There's nothing that will change your mind to give fracking a go.
Well, for me, I think it's about, a lot of it is about this inconsistency in government policy about emissions, and we have legally binding climate targets, and the Committee on Climate Change say we have to have a fully decarbonised energy system by 2030.
All right.
That is completely inconsistent with their current policy of pushing for fracking, which would negate those legally binding targets. I'd like David to talk to me about democracy there and what he feels about his government position on that.
Great. We will book you back. Thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you.